Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective. Morning, midday, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, whenever you are, welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. I'm your host, Ray Flowers. Thanks for joining me today. Really appreciate it. It's a Friday here. I know you got a lot of things to do, a weekend coming up, vacations, work, all that kind of stuff. We appreciate you being part of the crew with us at FantasyGuru.com. Don't forget to go to FG. Click that subscribe tab in the top right corner. Get signed up over at the site. For any product, send a note to support at FantasyGuru.com. Support at FantasyGuru.com. And look at that, folks. You've heard about it. Let's continue to talk about it until you're in with us over at FG. All of the baseball coverage we do, all of it. One low price, the rest of the season right now. Click that subscribe tab. Send a note to support at FantasyGuru.com. Every bet, every ranking, every chat room, every DFS play, up or down, all of it. All the DFS, all the wagering, all the seasonal, all for one low price of $75 over at FantasyGuru.com. So join the largest active community in fantasy sports and become part of the team with us over at FantasyGuru.com. I am Ray Flowers. I am here with you 4 days a week. Justin Fensterman is here with you on Wednesdays. On Wednesdays, I'm over with Jeff Manns on Elite Sports. So here quickly is the rundown of the shows yet again. Monday through Friday, this show is 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We've got about an hour. Again, I'm here Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Jeff Manns is on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Wednesdays, I'm not here because I'm with Jeff from 3 to 6. Monday through Friday, from 8 to 10 Eastern is Elite Sports Game Time with Justin and I. Again, that's Monday through Friday on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. So here from about 12 to 1, SiriusXM from 3 to 6 for Jeff, and then SiriusXM from 8 to 10 for Justin and me. That's the rundown of the show schedule. Let's talk a little bit about the rundown for today's show. You'll see it there on the screen. Lots to talk about baseball and football. It is that time of year. In about 25 or so minutes, we'll visit and talk some football with Russell Clay. Russell Clay joins us every Friday to talk football. We'll kind of get his thoughts on the schedule and, playing games across the seas with, how does he set up an ideal draft? We'll talk a little about a slow draft. I'm in one of those. It's driving me bananas right now. We'll talk to him about that. And then we'll do a little either or. Prescott or Love, Kyren or Hall, Nabers or Brian Thomas Jr., Jonnu Smith or Hockenson. We'll talk to him in a football mode about 25 minutes from now. Before then, baseball talk. Guys coming back from injury. Guys dealing with injury. Guys all of a sudden surging offensively. Question mark players that I've received queries about over the last handful of days, as well as some dominance on the hill. deGrom and Hunter Brown. Wow. What a game last night. We'll talk about all of that here moving forward. Okay. Again, I'm Ray Flowers of FG. Really appreciate it. Look at John G. You can leave comments, by the way, if you're watching us live. You can leave comments live. We'll talk about them, address them. YouTube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork. Facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ. Twitter X @FantasyGuruSite. John G says, "What up, Ray? I'm so upset that your analysis was so good that I never know which pitchers to start each week." I'll say this again. I say it all the time. I know it's easier to be in a smaller league. And I know quite oftentimes being in a smaller league is just how it works, right? You have less friends. There's less opportunity to sign up for a 14 or 15 team. I get it. But being in the smaller leagues makes it tougher. And I've seen this. I see this when I talk to people in Discord a lot. I'm in a 10-team head-to-head league and we start 5 pitchers. You are killing yourself in that setup. All the time you're spending with us here on the show or listening to us on SiriusXM or even subscribing to FantasyGuru.com, you're not being allowed to take advantage of your success. You're not being able to take advantage of your knowledge. So if you're in a smaller league, that's fine. But remember, everyone, 9 pitchers starting each day is the industry standard and has been for 40 years. Okay. So if you're in a league that has 10 teams, you better have 9 active pitching spots a day. Otherwise, you're going to end up like John and have too good a pitching staff. Don't worry, John. Everyone's going to get hurt eventually, and your pitching staff won't be that good. That's what we all deal with. Eventually, I never get excited about pitching. I think we're all kind of in that boat at this point. We all know it's going to get hurt at some point, right? Right? Speaking of hurt pitchers, we'll talk about them in a few minutes. Josh Lowe is back. He was indeed. We talked about him yesterday. He was written about yesterday over at FantasyGuru.com in the Ramblings piece, so go over there and check that out. Lowe returned a little bit earlier than anticipated because of that injury to Jankowski. I think we referenced it on the show yesterday. Went 3 or 5 with a home run, a couple of runs scored. Great start to his seasonal effort here or return to seasonal action. So check that article out over at FG for some more on Josh Lowe and the situation with the outfield with the Rays. Vladimir Guerrero hit a home run. He also had a walk. And, Vlad is what he is. And that is a really good, really stable, really consistent weapon. And there's no reason at all to think that he won't be that guy yet again. The problem Vlad is running into, and by the way, he's 26. Like, he's still pretty young. The problem he's running into is that, he had that one magical season where he hit 48 home runs back in 2021. And he's just not that guy. I mean, just not. He's averaged about 30 home runs and about 98 RBIs the last 3 years. He's doing that while hitting 280. It's good. It's not great. It's good. He's still 26. He has been phenomenal before. He could take his game to another level. We all know that. But I just wanted to point out he's been good, but at the same time, we're still fighting that thing with Vlad. 294 average we'll take. 395 on base percentage, second best of his career. We'll totally take that. 438 slugging percentage. Yeah. 144 isolated power mark. Yeah. We're in year, 7 of his career here. Yeah, year 7 of his career. And his launch angle is still under 8%. He's just not going to become that guy. As a result of not lifting the baseball, even though his batted ball numbers, he's got a 120 mile an hour shot off his bat this season. Just phenomenal exit velocity. He's just not going to be a 40 home run hitter consistently. Maybe it happens like it did a few years ago. Why did it happen a few years ago? Because his home run to fly ball ratio was 27%. And I correctly called that at the time and have been right about it since. He just doesn't hit the ball in the air enough. And this is the situation we're dealing with a youngster like James Wood, too. Like, you got to lift the ball a little bit more. So the bottom line with Vlad is no panic, no reason for concern. The numbers are good enough, even though he's only got 5 home runs right now. He's still going to hit his 29 home runs. There's always a stretch where he hits 3 home runs in 5 days or 6 home runs in 2 weeks, something like that. He'll get in the groove. He'll get in the zone. He'll power the baseball. He's just not a star. He's going to go as 28.95 and probably be overdrafted year after year. There is extreme consistency, which I love. But the superstar production, it's really only happened one time with Vladimir Guerrero. Speaking of a guy that needs to get going, how about Max Muncy? I have Max Muncy on one of my teams, and I think we talked about him on Monday. It's like I was teetering on the edge of dropping him. Figured I'd give him one more week. I can't really bench him in that league because I don't have a backup corner infield option. So he's in my lineup yet again, and thankfully he is in my lineup yet again because he had another home run last night. It's way too early to get excited about Max Muncy, but I will note he's got 11 RBIs his last 12 games. He's got 8 RBIs his last 5 games. And the interesting part with Max Muncy is twofold. Number one, and I'm talking about the Dodgers Max Muncy, by the way. Number one, the interesting point is his walk to strikeout ratio is the same as always. It's down 1/10 of a point. It's the same as always. There's not much change there. So, okay. Secondly, he's still got an on-base percentage. It's 115 points above his batting average. He's still well above the league average in on-base percentage. He's at 323. The batted ball data is not bad. It's a little down, okay? So it's not ideal. His pull rate is up a little bit, so that's not ideal. But at the end here, I think that we can still expect Max Muncy from this point forward to basically be Max Muncy. And let's not forget that this guy routinely hits 30 home runs when he plays 135 games. Routinely. He could have a streak as well. He's got that type of offensive game where the home runs are going to be hit or miss. If he has a nice couple days here the rest of the week too, and he's going to be on waiver wires all over the place, Max Muncy's back in the conversation. And again, he'll have a cold stretch at some point, so you got to weather it. But it's nice to see him finally start doing something because it had been a ravine of nothingness for Max Muncy prior to that. Heysong Kim went 3 for 3 with a double, 4 runs scored, and 2 RBIs. We know that the Dodgers scored 117 runs last night. I think Shohei Ohtani had 16 RBIs. It might have been 6. They killed it. And the interesting thing here with Heysong Kim is not only did he have that good game last night, he has killed it since he was recalled. They sent him down to the minor leagues. He had some moderate success down there. They wanted him to get a little more work on his swing and such, and a little more looking at big league pitching or professional pitching in North America versus Japan. He's been up for 12 games, and it's say it all the time. You hit, you play, right? He's batting .429 in the 12 games with a .467 on base percentage and a .571 slugging percentage. So that's at 1,000 OPS. Is that who he is? Hell no. Hell no. Of course not. But he's putting a lot of pressure on the Dodgers to try to keep him active as part of this lineup moving forward. Because remember, Tommy Edman and Teoscar Hernandez are out of the mix right now. When those guys come back, they're going right back in that lineup. So Teoscar Hernandez is going to have to take over for, Enrique Hernandez and Chris Taylor, which he might, as kind of that super sub. Don't overlook the fact that to date, Kim has played center field, second base, and shortstop. So he's also doing that stuff. But don't get overly excited with Kim, because it is tough to see when you have two everyday players in Hernandez and Edman. It's tough to see where Kim fits unless the Dodgers make a trade, which they're not going to do, or somebody gets hurt. Okay, that could happen. But there might be a decision the Dodgers have to make next week. So if you picked up Kim, ride him now. Sure, cool. He's done a great job. But it's tight to see how he's going to be in that lineup on a daily basis for the Dodgers. CJ Abrams, just the CJ Abrams, how you doing thing. CJ Abrams, he's on all my teams. And I thought that the way the drafts played out, he ended up on a bunch of my teams. Am I disappointed with 9 steals at this point? No. It's a little low. I'd like to see it be higher. He dealt with some injury too. Let's not forget that. But he's basically on pace to go 20-30. And it doesn't really feel like he's gotten going on the base paths, right? He is batting .317. And he's got a .380 on base percentage. Like, he's been really good. And I think there was some concern early on because he did struggle with health there and his bat wasn't doing much. As we talked about a lot all over, or as I've talked about a lot all over the place, we got to remember his hit tool was elite through the minor leagues. He showed up to the big leagues and he's hitting .250, and there was some concern that backed up a little bit. I'm not positive we're going to see a huge fall here in that slash line moving forward. Now, I should restate that. I'm not sure we're going to see a huge fall in his batting average. His .550 slugging percentage is going to go down. .379 on base percentage. His on base percentage is pretty much tied to his average because he doesn't walk a ton. But I could see him hitting .285, .290 this year, which would be a huge step forward. And if he does that, which I think he can, he keeps hitting home runs, running, you're going to be happy you have Abrams like I do. So let's hope that plays out the way it should. Matt McLain. And I saw this interesting note over on Roto World yesterday. Matt McLain's been demoted. He's hitting 8th in the order. He struggled this season with health. He struggled with performance, tons of strikeouts. He's been dropped in the order. And Santiago Espinal has been elevated to the number 2 hole. Not really sure why. Okay, whatever. Interestingly enough, after a homer, a double, and a walk yesterday for Matt McLain. Matt McLain, since he's been demoted, in 14 games in May, he's got a .220 average, which is terrible. He's got .371 on base percentage. A .371 on base percentage for your number 2 hitter is perfect. Espinal's on base percentage, .281. So sometimes teams do things to, I guess, kind of just, bump the barrel, kind of change things up a little bit. I don't know why. I would expect McLain to be elevated back to number 2 hole or higher in the order soon. Again, he's not doing great things, but you're kind of wasting a guy batting 8th with a .370 on base percentage. Like, again, the goal of baseball is avoiding an out. You got a .370 on base percentage, you're not a bad offensive player, even if you're not driving the baseball or producing a great batting average. So we'll see. Something to keep an eye on with McLain. Some small signs, some seeds there. But yeah, he's still searching for it to a large extent. Angela says it sucks that Kim is batting 9th. Well, Angela, when you're on arguably the team with the greatest collection of talent in baseball history, that's what you get, right? Can you imagine having to pitch to Ohtani and Betts and Freeman, who probably all end up in the Hall of Fame? And then you got Will Smith, who's one of the best hitting catchers in baseball. Like, ooh, that lineup is good. Whew, go Dodgers. Don't go Dodgers. Carlos Correa. Byron Buxton. Yeah, by the way, I'm pretty sure that the dong detector over at fantasyguru.com from Scott Bonder predicted yesterday that Buxton would hit a home run. He did. And then shortly thereafter, Buxton and Correa ran into each other. Phil Backert, I didn't see it live. I was writing. Phil sent me a note real quickly. Ray, check this out. We were watching it. And I was like, yep, concussion. Like the way the head snap went on Correa, I thought he'd be the one that for sure would have a problem. Buxton, you never know. Well, it turns out both players have been placed in the concussion protocol. We'll see today. It was a great I'll say it this way. I think Buxton is too good for his own life, for his own well-being. He's just so good. He defensively, he gets to everything. He made a great catch, even though they smashed each other. He caught the ball down by his left hip, and it's like he's really talented, but he's just so we'll see. It just, at a point in time where Buxton was rolling offensively too, the Twins will keep winning all these games. I think double-digit win streak. We'll see on those two guys. That'd be a huge loss to lose both those guys from the middle of the lineup. Oof. Let's talk some pitching. And we were on the Elite Sports Game Time show, which again is Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 Eastern. So we were talking about this game last night between the Astros and the Rangers, and there were fireworks on the hill. No fireworks for the bats. No one could do anything. But look at this. This is a reminder of what a good baseball can be when you've got dominance on the hill. Hunter Brown and Jacob deGrom. Jacob deGrom threw 8 innings of shutout baseball last night. It's the first time he's thrown. I don't even remember exactly. It's the first time he's thrown 8 innings since 2022. It's the first time he's thrown 95 pitches since 2023. It's something like that. It's been years. I said this on the broadcast last night, and I'll reiterate it here today with Jacob deGrom. He's been fantastic. Secondly, he's been throwing his fastball and his pitches slower, trying to conserve his arm. And he's talked about this openly. Last night he was pumping 99. Third, the last time that deGrom threw 100 innings in the majors was before COVID. It was 6 years ago. 100 innings, not 180, 100 innings was 2019. Fourth, given all of this, I think now is the perfect time. If you went and got deGrom, who I said I'm not interested in, that's okay. You went and got him, okay. You've had a great payoff. Now is the perfect time to trade him. Maybe you're going to ride the lightning, and you're going to see, and maybe he'll throw 148 innings this year, and he'll win the Cy Young Award. But remember, 2019 was the last time he threw 100 innings, and it wasn't just his elbow that's been fixed. It was everything. Everything got hurt. His whole fantastic this season. Amazing last night. Love to see it. Don't love to see him going 8 innings. Don't love to see him throwing 95 plus pitches. Not that these are crazy numbers, but given his track record, I don't love to see that. We'll see. Set to face the Yankees next. Tough challenge too, next week on Wednesday. On the other side, Hunter Brown, and I talked about this on the broadcast last night with Justin too. He got the loss last night, gave up 1 run, 3 hits over 8 innings. Hunter Brown, best way to say this, Hunter Brown might be the most consistent pitcher in baseball right now. I didn't say the best, but the most consistent. And we were talking about this too. Tariq Skubal, and a part of this was the bullpen, but Tariq Skubal gave up 5 runs the other night. That's Hunter Brown's thing. He never does that. Every start he makes is basically a quality start. It's remarkable. And this is going back to like May 1st, and I should have looked these numbers up before the show. Going back to May 1st, it's just 6 innings, 2 runs, 6 innings, 3 runs, 6 innings, 2 runs, 6 innings, 3 runs. Quality start, quality. Just on and on and on. He is phenomenal. And he was in the Breakout Pitcher of the Year article last year. He wasn't the selection. The selection was Brian Wu, for those of you that forgotten or missed it. But he was one of the finalists. One of the 3 finalists was Hunter Brown. His whip is 0.8. His whip ERA is a 1.4. He's been absolutely phenomenal this season for the Astros and for you. Spencer Strider. Remember we talked about Spencer Strider's hamstring. He was throwing that simulated game. The velocity was down a little bit. There was some concern we talked about on the show yesterday. They have announced that he's going to start against the Nationals, which is good news. We don't know exactly what day, but he's going to start against the Nationals here. So I guess they were confident enough, despite the diminished velocity and that workout effort on Wednesday, that he's good to go. If you have Strider, fire him up. I mean, again, we don't know if he's going to go 90 pitches. We don't know if, he's going to be able to dominate the Nationals, especially if his stuff is diminished a little bit, but they wouldn't put him out there at this point. There's no reason for the Braves to rush him out there if 5 extra days would help, right? There's just no reason for it. So you got to figure he's healthy, and they're not overly concerned about the fact that he had diminished velocity. I would be, but apparently they're not, and they're there. I wasn't, so there we go. Angelo says, it appears that A.J. Smith-Shawver is legit and should stay in the rotation when Strider returns. Granholm's going to stay. Chris Sale's going to stay. Schwellenbach's going to stay. Strider's going to be in it. So then it comes down to Bryce Elder or AJ Smith-Shawver. Obviously, both these guys can be sent down to the minors. They still have options left, so it's not a problem there. We'll see. I would not be surprised at this point at all if AJSS does stay in the rotation and not Elder. I will also say that it's not a certainty that happens, Angelo, despite how well he has pitched. We'll see. They could go to a six-man rotation in the short term as well. We'll see how this goes. But AJ Smith-Shawver, the last couple times out, has been excellent. He's obviously a high pedigree prospect. Somebody that we hoped would arrive last year. Didn't happen, but he's been really, really good this year. He has an 11% walk rate, which is terrible. It's just terrible. The batted ball data is worse than league average, which, don't overlook the fact that though his ERA is 2.3, his expected ERA is 4.9. Even his Sierra is 3.9. So we're looking at a league average kind of pitcher, despite those last couple outings where he's been really good. We're basically looking overall at a league average kind of guy. Now, as a fifth starter, a league average kind of guy totally works. And he is younger and more exciting than Elder without question. So I think it's fair to expect him to stick at this point in time, Angelo. But again, we don't have a certainty on that unless I missed a report. And I don't think I did with that one with the Braves. Speaking of young guys, Zebby Matthews is expected to be promoted to start on Sunday against the Brewers. For the Twins, at some point, the Twins have to admit that, look, it's just not happening with Simeon Woods-Richardson. And this is going back to the second half of last year. It just doesn't happen. They don't trust him to face a lineup 3 times. He never goes deep into games. Seems like the majority of his outings, he doesn't even go through 5 innings. Chris Paddack, who had that horrible effort against the White Sox, which, of course, I streamed him for, as many of you probably did on my advice. What does he give up, 8 or 9 runs against the White Sox? Since that effort, Paddack's been really good. Really good. And we talked about him on Monday. I picked him up in Tout Wars. What league did I pick? Was it Tout Wars? I'll pull it up real quickly and take a look here. Yeah, it was Tout Wars. Picked him up for like $36 of $1,000 in Tout Wars. He's stuck in the rotation. Simeon Woods-Richardson's been demoted. Festa or Matthews, they finally made the decision to go to Matthews. So Matthews should come up on Sunday. He was terrible last season when given the opportunity with the Twins, but this is a nice talent. There's a lot of excitement given his work at AAA. Head over to fantasyguru.com right now. Read my Rays Ramblings piece from yesterday, where I talk about Zebby Matthews and Ryan Weathers. Both those guys were highlighted in my article yesterday over at fantasyguru.com. Tyler Glasnow coming back from injury, that shoulder. Here's the update, and it's a quote from manager Dave Roberts. Here's the quote. Quote, "From what I hear, the catch play, the flat ground stuff has been good. I'm not sure when he's going to get on the mound, though," unquote. So Glasnow's been throwing on the ground on flat. Throwing flat on the ground is completely different, obviously, than throwing from the mound. Playing catch is completely different than, throwing 95 off the mound. It's completely different than dropping sliders and curveballs and changeups. So we're moving in a positive direction with Glasnow. There is no return date yet. We have no certainty as to what the real plan is. We don't know how many minor league starts he's got. We don't know. As we've talked about, a best case scenario for Glasnow is he's back with the Dodgers in that rotation in June. We'll continue to follow the story because it's a huge story. Though, again, he threw a career best inning pitch total last year and didn't get to 135, right? At least for the big leagues. Let's pull it up so I make sure I'm accurate there before I speak at my rear end. 134 innings. Career best 134 innings last year. First time in his career he's thrown 75 innings in back-to-back seasons. He's going to get to 75 innings this year, right? He's at 18. I hope he does. We'll see with him. Speaking of the Dodgers, Dave Roberts also said that Landon Knack is the leading candidate right now to be that fifth starter. Remember, both Snell and Glasnow are on the shelf. Kershaw will be back this weekend. They're kind of looking at Ben Kasparis or Landon Knack. It looks like Knack, according to the manager of the team, is in line to be the fifth starter right now. So there you go. Streaming option, Landon Knack. Remember, and I've been talking about this with folks over in Discord at FG as well. I got a question the other day about Tony Gonsolin. Remember the Dodgers, who they have, right? All of these guys, Gonsolin, Knack, Kasparis, May, all the, we're going to have in the lineup when healthy, Glasnow, Snell, Kershaw, and Sasaki. So that's 4 guys in that. Now, can they all get healthy? Oh, I forgot Yamamoto. Can they stay healthy? The only guy right now that's doing the healthy thing is Yamamoto. But there's just so many options there with the Dodgers. Be careful looking at anybody really with that rotation as more than kind of a streamer. I mean, because again, even the big guys, when's Snell going to be back? We're still not sure there either. So Kershaw should be back this weekend. That should start. Going back to the Astros, Hayden Wesneski. We don't have an update yet on Wesneski. The good news is that they haven't announced anything overly concerning with his elbow yet. We're supposed to find out today what's going on with the elbow. Tomorrow, maybe at the outset or at the end of the line there. Let's hope we get good news with Wesneski. He's obviously been quite effective this season for the Astros. He's a very talented guy. He's been, if I'm not mistaken, a couple of years ago, I think he was in the Breakout Pitcher of the Year article. He wasn't the selection, but he was in there. Like, he's a talented guy. And he's done a good job this year for the Astros, but he's dealing with the elbow issue. We'll keep our fingers crossed. Sounds like a second opinion on the MRI, which maybe I was a little bit too excited about hey, we're going to find out in a couple of days. Usually second opinions aren't great. Keep a good thought with Hayden Wesneski. We'll continue to follow that situation. Nick Martinez was asked about in Discord today over at fantasyguru.com. He shut out the White Sox for 7 innings yesterday. White Sox are not very good. When you have success against the White Sox or the Rockies as 2 prime examples, we know grain of salt scenario there. 4 straight quality starts, though, for Nick Martinez. And in the process, his ERA has gone down almost 2 runs. He's facing the Pirates next week. If Nick Martinez is on the waiver wire, add him. He's in a nice groove. 4 straight quality starts. He faces the Pirates next. That is not an opponent to fear whatsoever. Reynolds still not getting it done. We still don't know what's going on with O'Neal Cruz. Martinez is not a strikeout guy. He's not a dominator. He's just a guy that mixes and matches. And I wrote about him a lot last year over at FG when I do all the offseason analysis. He qualified in a lot of the zones of this is a guy we want. But he was always like the last guy on the list. He never led a list. He was never in the middle of the list. He was always right at the very bottom. So he's right at the very bottom. He's right at the very bottom of being consistently usable, which means he's basically a streamer in shallow leagues. You can definitely stream him next time out against the Pirates. Zack Littell, who, everyone keeps wanting to replace him, and I get it. He's kind of boring. He's not sexy. He's kind of old, and, CRA is 4.3. Well, he had a couple of rough efforts, but for the most part, he's pitched very well this season, including yesterday when he gave up 3 runs over 7 1/3 innings of work to the Blue Jays. His whip is 1.1. He's got a 3-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio, and his whip is 1.1. He's in the, the Miles Mikolas-ish zone, so sometimes he's going to go out there and it's not going to be a great result because he doesn't have the ability to miss bats. He's got to have his location and he's got to be mixing the pitches and the feel and all that kind of stuff. Facing the Astros next, the Astros are kind of in a funk. Jordan Alvarez, we'll see if he's back by the time that start happens. We've talked about Abreu struggling a little bit. They're not. So I'm not against using Littell next time out either. I just want to give a little bit of props here because, again, he's done pretty well this season. Back to Chris Paddack, by the way. I should have put that together. Gave up a run over 7 innings while allowing 3 hits yesterday against the Orioles. Now, the Orioles are woefully missing expectations, and they're not performing well. They've got tons of injuries they're dealing with. So this is another scenario that grain of salt-ish with Chris Paddack. We're not going overboard. But remember, we talked about this on Monday. This is why I added Chris Paddack. Got it wrong with the White Sox. Got it right with the Orioles. We're now looking at him having a 4.1 ERA. And remember, like I said, I think he gave up 9 runs in that outing to the White Sox. His ERA is now 4.1. He's been really good since that effort against the White Sox. Faces Cleveland next time out. Chris Paddack, waiver wire guy. Sure, he probably is in a lot of leagues. Again, don't take too much away from yesterday, but take a lot away from the last 6 starts he's made. And the decision that the Twins made to leave him in that rotation while demoting Simeon Woods-Richardson, because I know people were debating, does Paddack go or does SWR go? Twins made that decision. Chris Paddack is sticking in that rotation. And then finally, before we talk some football with Russell Clay, Darvish allowed a couple of runs over his 4 innings of work on Wednesday. Just wanted to bring this up because I didn't yesterday. He struck out 4 and walked only 1 in the effort. He was throwing 94, 95 miles an hour, pretty darn good. Throwing all his pitches, all that kind of stuff. Only threw 51 pitches, though. So he's probably going to need 2 more starts, maybe 3 before they activate him. So I'm not expecting Darvish to be back in May. I don't think you should be either. But, early June is in play now for Darvish. And don't overlook the fact that he's not Cy Young contender Darvish of years past, but he's still quite effective. So I know a lot of you are searching for pitching. We're talking about injuries all the time on the hill. If Darvish is out there, you got an IL spot, sure. Even if you don't have an IL spot and you want to be a little proactive, it might be a couple weeks. But Darvish is at least going in the right direction, and you love to see that. All right, so that's the talk we had on. Let me see here. I gotta find my football talk. That's the talk on baseball. Before I bring in Russell Clay, where did I put my? I just erased all my questions. All right, we'll just go with the schedule. We'll just go with the outline here. We'll bring in Russell Clay at FantasyGuru.com. He joins us every Friday at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. We talk football with him for about a half hour. So let's do it today. He's Russell Clay at FantasyGuru.com. How you doing, Russ?
What's going on, everybody?
Not much. Just rambling on. Waiting for the best looking guy on staff with the best hair, you, to join us to class up the show a little bit here. How's the world of fantasy been treating you last week?
I would say pretty quiet overall. We do have our dynasty rookie draft season, but beyond that, it's baseball. I did have, so you mentioned the Orioles, and I had no idea. I hadn't checked the standings, and I saw they had a losing record. And my buddy has a diehard Orioles fan in his life.
Okay.
They've had a rough go. He was telling me how he was at the game. They lost 30-3.
Okay.
I forget. And he was with like his whole family, and they had like this whole vacation planned around this one game that they went to in Baltimore. Really? And they also lost another game like 25 to something. And he was just talking about all that. And I was like, you know what? The Orioles were good last year when I started to pay attention to baseball again. And, but apparently it hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows for them.
Well, interestingly enough, this brings up a topic that I wanted to actually ask you about. I had no idea you were going to say this. We're talking about, people going to games, and, it's a lot of money. Families, you have to make plans, and it's a lot of money, and depending on the sport and where you're sitting and all this kind of stuff. And transitioning the baseball talk into football for a second, one of the big beefs I have when the NFL tries to go play in Europe, which they're doing like every week this year, I'm exaggerating a little bit. People here don't get to see the games,
right?
Because they're being played in England or Germany or wherever the hell they're playing them, Sao Paulo, whatever. I know the NFL doesn't care because they do it. They're expanding it. They don't care. They don't care about the people that have supported the team for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. The families that have gone forever to the games with their grandfather and their dad and their mom. What are your thoughts on that? That really rubs me the wrong way when they take games away from people that have been supporting the team forever and give them to people in foreign countries.
Well, the schedule release was the other day, and I have some people in Massachusetts that, we'd like to eventually find ourselves. I got a Panthers fan in Massachusetts,
okay,
and Panthers play the Jags. Those prices are reasonable, but he was looking at Panthers Patriots. Those prices are like $400 for the ticket. That's not accounting for parking, gas, travel, food. So it's a real investment to do a game. I think the Jags Panthers was like $100. So I think we can make that one happen. But yeah, if you're going to a Patriots game, or I can't imagine what the Chiefs are at this point. So some of us are priced out for some of these regular season games, but I mean, it's fun. I like that they're expanding the game, but yeah, kind of like with the opening day for MLB, it would have been nicer if they had it, back home, right?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely, for sure. Let's have a parade. Oh, wait, they're playing in a foreign country. Okay. Russell Clay at FantasyGuru.com. What do you think, by the way, of the schedule release? I've mocked it endlessly. I think it's hilarious that we have celebrities doing it, and they're getting sponsorship for releasing videos on social media. To me, it's bizarre Do you think I'm offline? Do you think it's cool? Do you think it's great? I mean, to me, again, wow, that's my thought. Yours?
It is a fun day for Dynasty because you already have the setup and now you get to see what the schedule will look like as the season goes on.
Right.
So sometimes, especially with bye weeks, so back in my major DGen days, the schedule release would be like, all right, I want to go look at bye weeks to see who's screwed on what weeks.
Right.
And maybe those future picks will be worth more.
Right.
But in my 30s, that drive and motivation has left me. But for those of you in a lot of dynasty leagues, go check it out if you're bored today. See who's got screwed with the bye weeks and maybe see what your schedule luck is, because there are some spots where you'll face a guy and he has like 7 bye weeks on the week he plays you. So beyond that, there's really nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't mean to suggest that the schedule is unimportant. The schedule is extremely important. I meant the hullabaloo around it. Videos.
Yeah. No,
let's have, a celebrity announce it. Woo! Let's do a video with Minecraft. Who gives a like? I do find it interesting. I was looking at the schedule we talked about last night on Sirius. The Cowboys play on Thursday 4 times.
Oh God! Like, so that stuff. That's like the takeaways of like, oh, they're going to be wrecked.
The Commanders play 4 games where they're playing an opponent coming off a bye.
Really?
Wow. I mean, those 2 teams are getting screwed. That ain't good. Not only do the Commanders get the extra time for the teams coming in to get healthy, there's an extra week there to game plan to face them too. That's huge. Yep. And the opposite side of the thing with the Cowboys too, where they're just getting boned having to play on 3 days. So I even talked to you about the fact that the Vikings are playing 2 games across the pond in different countries.
Oh man.
So at the end, beyond the fans getting screwed with the tickets, for me, I really worry about the competitive balance of the league. And I know you can't make it perfect with I get it. But the Cowboys shouldn't be playing 4 times on Thursday. That's not fair. The Commanders shouldn't be playing 4 times with an opponent coming off a bye week. That's not fair. And that's the way the schedule plays out.
Yeah, the last thing that's actually actionable is AFC West. So the way they set up the schedule, it's every couple years, your NFC team is going to have to face the AFC West schedule.
Right.
I don't know who that is this year. As you're kind of pointing out, I haven't paid much attention to the schedule release other than I did see like the Patriots had Dave Portnoy announce their schedule release. I'm like, what are we doing here, dude? Like they're doing content. I get it. Game is game. But when you look at that, that's really what determines records a lot of the time. So when you look at the Jags last year, they had a much tougher schedule and they had to play divisions that don't match up well for them. So you go for that. Were they first place schedule and are they playing the AFC West? Right. And if not, you wipe your brow and you say, all right, we're all right.
By the way, I saw this note too. 10 years ago, David Portnoy was arrested for a sit-in at the league office.
Yeah, Brady.
Over Deflategate. So I guess it don't matter no more. All right. Bash our product 10 years later, bro. Let's bring it. I don't know. I don't get it. Anyway, so that's the off the field stuff. Let's talk a little bit about the on the field stuff here with Russell Clay of fantasyguru.com. Superflex or no Superflex? There's a lot of people in Superflex leagues. I think it causes a lot of bad drafting because all it is a quarterback draft early. Then when you're in Superflex keeper dynasty leagues, everyone's scrambling and falling all over themselves to get Tyler Shuck. It's like, you think Superflex leagues are good, or do you prefer just a standard 1 quarterback league?
In season long, I am a 1 quarterback guy.
Okay.
I think I'm more for the tradition of the game and making things simple. And again, when we're drafting, when we're doing the waiver wire, the Superflex thing adds a fun element, but it can get really in the weeds, and it seems one or two teams every year is just absolutely obliterated right out of the gate. And with single QB, it makes it so that there's, a reason. And I feel like some of the folks in fantasy football don't like the waiver wire. Like there shouldn't be anybody on the waiver wire. And I'm kind of like, doesn't it add a little spice when we're battling on the waiver wire for a few guys here? So depends on what you're looking for. In Dynasty, I much prefer Superflex. I think it's good to have more positions from a long-term perspective, especially at QB. So like if you invested in Spencer Rattler last year, I think it's fun that you get to see how it plays out, and you get to go and through this training camp battle. You mentioned Tyler Shugg, and we get to battle with all these mediocre QBs together. But yeah, season long, I don't want to deal with any of that.
Now, a personal question for you. We've talked about this before, just to hit on it. I'm in a slow draft. I hate slow drafts. I think this is the last time I'm ever going to do one in any sport, because they're mind-numbing to me. We have a 45-round dynasty league we're redrafting. We talked about this, you and I, before. This draft is on pace to take about 2 months. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating. That's kind of the pace we're on. 50-plus days for sure. There's someone in this league that has taken, and these are their last 6 picks, 9 hours, 11 hours, 16 hours, 16 hours, 8 hours, 7 hours, 10 hours. I have made 15 picks in 14 hours. This person has had 2 scenarios where they've timed out at 16 hours. Number one, what do you do if someone in your league is doing this? And number 2, what should the timer be? 16 hours is preposterous. I don't care if it's the weekend. You can't have 16-hour clock. What are your thoughts on this, Russ?
The rules I've set up, 8-hour timer with a 12 p.m. to 6 a.m. Pause period.
East or West Coast?
East Coast. But then if someone times out once, they are auto-picked the rest of the way.
Okay.
I don't know if you can do that in a dynasty startup. That's for rookie drafts. But if you can't get a hold of someone, then if they time out once and you haven't heard from them, you are firing in with auto picks. Not like the worst guy, not Adrian,
the ADP or
not Adrian Peterson. But they're getting someone that is within that 10 picks in ADP, and then you're rolling from there. But I have a few people in a rookie draft right now, and they're getting frustrated with some of the late timing of the picks. And in a rookie draft, a 3-rounder, we've been going for 6 days now. Right. We're about 40 to 50 picks in. We got about 20 more. And I'm like, guys, once we're done with this, we got 3 or 4 months till the regular season. So appreciate it while it's here, because when it's over, it's over. Now the startup, if it's 45 rounds, that's an entirely different story.
We started on April 28th.
Yeah.
We've done 14 rounds. I can't think it's going to get faster later than the draft either. You would think it'd be easier at the start.
That's like you guys are going across the country in the Oregon Trail.
Yeah, right? Yeah, we don't have power. We're in a wagon. Like, geez.
A few of you aren't going to make it back.
Yeah, I know who I'm kicking off. Sure, I'm definitely making it.
Ray's looking a little sick. He's got I forget.
Jeff Mans and I making our picks in minutes. This one person making their pick every 8 hours. I don't know. Again, this is also partly, like you said, the league setup issue, because the clock should never be 18 hours like that, or 16 hours. That's ridiculous. And if you do have someone in your league, I'll say it this way: I shouldn't have to send you a note every time you're picking. It's your responsibility to know you're on the clock. So I totally agree with Russell, and it's been mentioned in our chat for this league. If you time out, you're now auto picked, right?
Unless you reach out.
Well, you can go back. You can come back and undo it. I mean, yeah.
But until then, we gotta keep it moving.
Yeah,
just for everybody.
Russell Clay at FantasyGuru.com. All right, I waylaid this conference, have to visit with this nonsense. Let's talk some actual data here. We're gonna do a little either or with you here, and it's early and we're all that. We're talking 2025. We're not doing dynasty here. I'm looking 2025 for you. So short term. Dak Prescott or Jordan Love? Everyone's excited about the Cowboys. They added Pickens and they got Blue in the draft. And then there's Jordan Love, who has got 18 receivers to throw to. Is there a difference between the two, or is it kind of just it is?
Both of those are guys in the queue that I will hedge with in best ball, but they're not guys I'm seeking out. Love the Pickens and Lamb setup from a best ball perspective. The problem with Dak fantasy wise is that injury ended all his fantasy upside. He can have a season with 4,500 passing yards and 35 touchdowns.
Right.
We know he can do that. We know he can get to 4,900 passing yards. So George Pickens doesn't really change anything for me there, other than it does heighten the floor. But, when you look at Jordan Love, this is third starting season now. All the film's out. We saw it a little last year. There's a little bit of all right, this guy's got a gambling streak. Some teams can take advantage of this. So both are good quarterbacks. Both are going to be playoff contenders. They're hedge bets and best ball for me, but not guys I'm actively seeking out.
We move to the running back spot. I got to put some color. I just realized I look pale as all hell there. Jeez, the camera was off a little bit. I look like I was I'm whiter than you, but I'm not that white. Running back position. Kyren Williams or Breece Hall? Like, Kyren Williams is the only game in town with the Rams, excuse me. Breece Hall is somebody that ADP is suggesting, is going in the third, maybe fourth round, depending on your league size. People a little bit nervous, I guess, there. One of those two guys stick out for you? Kyren Williams or Breece Hall?
You'd like to think Breece Hall would have a rebound in terms of touches, but unclear, right? Unclear if that's ever going to happen. The Jets organization has made some signals that maybe he's not. They've drafted some running backs. They could be in flux with this Justin Fields thing. Kyren is the classic thin ice mid to late round draft pick that has survived, and then they keep drafting running backs, so I hate that. They drafted Blake Corum last year in round 3 and Jarquez Hunter in round 4 this year, but all indications are he's a featured back in a Sean McVay offense, so I'm gonna keep rolling with that, I guess. I don't see why I would switch. So yeah, I guess we'll keep going with Kyren, but you'd love to see Breece have at least one more year of featured touches.
And Jeff Mans and I was talking about this on the Elite Sports Show 3 to 6 Monday through Friday. And, the thing that Hall does that a lot of other backs don't do is he does catch passes. He does it very well. And he's utilized in that role, has been. Now there's a different quarterback. There's a different head coach. Like, everything is changing here. But do you have a hope that, we're still looking at Breece Hall being a 50 catch guy? That's basically where he's been the last 2 years.
Well, yeah, it seems like they view him as more of a third down back, right? Which is straight, like, coming out of Iowa State, I never would have expected an NFL team to basically shove him as, 250 touch per year, like receiving back. But
right.
that's kind of where we're at with this eval. So that is what it is. Good for PPR, but shocking for me, I guess.
Russell Clay joining us here as he does every Friday on the Fantasy Sports Daily Show powered by FantasyGuru.com. Malik Nabers, Brian Thomas Jr., inarguably two of the best young receivers in football, two potential superstars if they're not already there. Nabers has uncertainty at the quarterback spot because it's going to be Wilson to start, and then we know Jackson Dart's going to get out there at some point. Brian Thomas has now got a guy that his organization traded everything to get, and they're going to make him a wide receiver in Hunter, which is going to take some looks from Thomas. Does Nabers or Thomas separate themselves from one another? They both have questions that, not a concern, but they both have some questions at the start of the season.
I'm optimistic about both. Nabers dominated with just nothing last year.
Right.
Absolutely zero. There were some weeks where I truly went, wait, who's starting for the Giants?
It's Drew Lock.
Drew Lock was starting. Tommy DeVito hung around for a few rounds there. They had that Daniel Jones, the ghost of Daniel Jones. I wouldn't even call what happened last year Daniel Jones. That was, I know I'm out of here, Daniel Jones. So if he gets anybody relatively competent, which I do think Wilson is at this point in his career, though, not elite by any means. And if he gets Winston, then the party's on, right? So
right.
should be a reasonable time there. And then Brian Thomas was shocking last year with how productive he was, not only with Trevor Lawrence, but with Mac Jones. So I'm very confident Gladstone and Liam Cohen are going to turn this organization around. And Lawrence is not what I thought he was coming out, but with a good coach, with a good organization, with good team building around him, I'm still very confident he can be a higher end Jared Goff type guy. So Lawrence is going to be fine if they put the pieces around him. They've got Brian Thomas, and Hunter and Thomas, two very different players. So Hunter may take production on certain weeks, but that's going to be more matchups than like all out taking the number one role.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. Going back, Kyle's got a question going back to what we were just talking about. And this is something that Jeff and I talked about on the Elite Sports Show too. Breece Hall might have to compete with Fields for goal line touches. Yeah. True, but at the same time, running quarterbacks help running backs because the defense doesn't know when those two guys come together who's getting the ball. Is it Hall? Is it Fields? They have to account for that differently too. So, and I also heard Jeff mention that I think it was Jeff that mentioned it, that Fields actually has, or maybe it was Tyler yesterday on the show. And he was referring to something that Armando said. We got everyone involved in this. So Tyler on the show yesterday was referring to something that Armando did, and that was that Justin Fields was like top 12 in dump-offs his last year in Chicago. So, it's like, will Hall lose goal line touches to Fields? I think it's fair to say, yeah, he could lose a couple of touchdowns there. But he might benefit from extra catches, and the benefit of having Fields opening up running lanes should be there too. Is that a way that you see it, or am I off there, Russ?
Yeah, no doubt. We see this all the time with running quarterbacks. Lamar made Derrick Henry look like a rookie year Derrick Henry with opening up all those lanes. Like the system in Philly with Jalen Hurts opened up things for Saquon he's never seen in his entire life. So it changes things completely. And so those 250 carries or touches they give Breece Hall could be worth a lot more per touch.
And pass catching is always worth more in the fantasy space. Don't forget that as my screen goes haywire. Tight ends. TJ Hockenson, who played half a season coming back from injury and now has a new quarterback. In essence, a rookie. Great system, great receivers around him, all that kind of stuff. Or Jonnu Smith, who had always been a guy high on potential, but never really produced until the second half last year when he went bananas. What are you thinking there? The Miami tight end or the Vikings tight end?
Jonnu Smith, me and him have had a long battle, kind of like in Family Guy when he was fighting the chicken. And it's like he tortured me with Kyle Pitts, and turns out Jonnu Smith is just awesome. And I would pick Hockenson here, but I am under no illusions that Jonnu Smith is gonna fall off this year. He was great when called upon in Tennessee, great in Atlanta when they needed him, and he basically emerged out of nowhere. I don't think Miami brought him in last year with big expectations, and he created big expectations for himself. So I like Hockenson. He's coming off injury, but he's got basically a rookie quarterback coming in to start this year. So I would go with Hockenson, one of the best tight ends in the league when healthy. But shout out to Jonnu, man. He's doing it.
Right? He was a running back for a while, or I guess a halfback or H-back. That's the word I'm using. H-back. I don't know. He utilized all over the place. I'm in this dynasty league. He still hasn't been drafted, which I'm kind of surprised by. We're at pick 170 or something like this in this 12-team league. Smith hasn't been taken. I looked at some numbers, and it seems like he's going off the board, Jonnu Smith, around tight end 10 or something like that in the early going. Does that sound about right to you?
Yeah. Okay. The upside is there with McDaniel. It just makes sense with that offense as well. With Tyreek Hill, who knows if he's going to be there all year or what's going on with all that. I know Armando is like out on him, so I trust him as my Dolphins guy.
Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. Kickers or defense? We're getting rid of both. We're getting rid of one. We're getting rid of neither. Someone's setting a league up, Russ. Do they want kickers and defense, kicker or defense or kicker, or none?
If you're starting a dynasty league, you cannot have those in there. Extra
Someone was
flex.
asking about that in Discord. I was like, no, we don't do that in dynasty.
Extra flexes, just fire off. You want running backs and wide receivers and maybe a few tight ends to matter most there. But redraft, Ray, I can get a little...
No, go ahead. Go on. Listen, lay it on me.
There is a time and a place in a casual 10-team league where you're just going in and maybe it's Auntie Annie or a few casual, friends. There's a time and a place where I can get down for some team defense, and it's fun to watch the sacks stack up or not, or the week where your opponent gets 45 points scored on them and they get -10 and you win anyway.
Right.
That's fun, I will say. So if we're talking beyond the strategy, beyond the optimal play, I do think there is a time and place for team defense. Kicker, that just becomes a pain. But I do think I can have a little fun with team defense still.
Russ is wrong about this, but let's play it out. If we're going to do kicker and or defense, are you going to be the person that in the 11th round grabs the kicker, or is it going to be like your last two picks, kicker and defense?
Yeah, it'll be one of my last picks. My general mantra of kicker is just find the team with the highest point total and maybe some good weather going their way and go from there. But that's it.
Two questions for you as we close down your visit. He's with us every Friday as Russell Clay. Is there a player you're hearing people get excited about that you are not interested in? Like the ADP's too much, or the role ain't right, but people are excited about him, or maybe the player's age is an issue or injury is an issue. Like the other day, I didn't say this with Jeff Mans, but I said, look, Christian McCaffrey, I'm just no. It's not. What if he falls to pick 19? I'm just no. So he'd be a guy that I would avoid. Do you have a name that you would avoid at this point?
Well, I don't know that he's getting too much hype, but I have zero idea what to do with DK Metcalf because they just don't have a quarterback, and I can't do the Mason Rudolph thing, even though he might be fine. Or whatever they end up doing there, Rodgers or whoever. I cannot click draft on him in a redraft league. Okay. One guy I will say who's going to get a lot more snaps this year is Roman Wilson. But that's a best ball topic for round 15.
Okay.
But yeah, the McCaffrey one's a great one. And it's not necessarily a re-injury thing. It's that injury history will shift them into just not featuring him anymore until the playoffs. So that's a very real thing. We have that extra game in the regular season. So yeah, it's a weird time in the NFL. But yeah, I would say DK Metcalf is one where I just need to see his quarterback before I click draft right now.
I took him as my third wide receiver in that dynasty league we're doing. I have Justin Jefferson and Marvin Harrison So I felt really good about taking
Yeah.
DK as my third, but that's a different scenario too. Final question for you, Russ. Player to target. Player, and this can be a rookie. This can be a veteran. This can be an early guy. I mean, I don't care, Ray. I got to get Kyren Williams. It's not tied to anything in particular. Just a player that, as we sit here in mid-May, if Russell Clay's doing a draft, this is the guy he's going for.
Okay. So there are about 12 third, fourth, and fifth round rookie running backs that I am spraying them all. If we're looking at, let's go to the draft right now. That is truly my plan going into this year.
Okay.
Some of these guys are going to be incredibly valuable. When I'm thinking about guys like Dylan Sampson, Bashal Tootin in Jacksonville, we have the RJ Harvey, Caleb Johnson, second, third round situation. Jarquez Hunter in Los Angeles. We have Jordan James, the guy they brought in for the 49ers. Jaden Blue in Dallas. I know Jeff Manns really likes him. We have Devin Neal in New Orleans, and also add in Kendre Miller there. So when you look back at this 2025 running back class, I said it before the draft, and the draft confirmed it for me. I'm just going to continue to take as many shots as I can, and most of these guys are going to be nothing. So I look at Dylan Sampson in Cleveland, and I say, all right, if anything happens to Judkins, we could be looking at a league winner here.
Russell Clay of fantasyguru.com. He's with us every Friday at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. He's obviously part of everything we do at FG, player profiles of the youngsters, dynasty ranking updates. He's part on Tuesday nights of the live stream. What's coming down here the next week before we see you next, Russ? What do you got planned?
Yeah, so if you are an FG subscriber, you can reach out to me. I have one more dynasty roster to look at. If you want to get involved with that, we can certainly head that direction. But yeah, we are slowly gearing up for our draft guide, which is going to launch, I think, next month. So
I think it's the 1st or 2nd of June. Yeah.
Getting excited for that. And I think you guys are all going to really like that. Not only my content, but the team's content. So should be fun.
I got to find out when my assignments are, damn it. Shoot, I got so much going on. Let's write some football articles, right? No, I'm just kidding. We'll all be there. I will say this. I think that our product, and Russ is a huge part of that, stacks up against anyone in the industry. And if you want to become a part of what we're doing, the largest active community in fantasy sports, click that subscribe tab in the top right corner of fantasyguru.com. Send a note to support at fantasyguru.com. That way you can read all of Russ's rankings, all of his articles. You can talk to him in Discord. You can watch him when he's hosting the live stream. So check us out over at fantasyguru.com. So, Russ, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate it. We'll look forward to talking to you a week from now on Friday. And have a great weekend. Have some fun.
Thanks, Ray.
You got it. He's Russell Clay. I'm Ray Flowers. We'll be back here on Monday for Fantasy Sports Daily at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Again, 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday here on the show. For Russell, I am Ray. We'll see you on Monday. This has been Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by fantasyguru.com.